You can see Kuvira's forces all still stationed at attention here if you look closely.
All right, let's do this!
Now, I don't want to be mean, but I kinda hate the horrible, gross bison. Usually the series does a really standout job with getting the lip flaps exactly right, like you see the tongue movement and the mouth shape always line up really well, but it kinda gets lost here on this line.
Because I vow to repair the rift that has grown betwixt us.
Kuvira tore down all the domes. Why would she do that?
You're right, Opal. Why would she tear down what makes your city so insanely defensible? Makes it nearly impossible to fight you unless you throw your leader at the opposing force like an idiot. Could it be she's doing something even dumber?
All the prisoners have been moved.
Hey, Chief.
Hey, Chief.
Haha, okay, that was cute. Also, just a great line read from Mindy Sterling. So obviously happy to see her mom as a first gut reaction, but their relationship is so distant and strange she has to keep her defenses up. Awesome job.
Grandma Toph!
You were only up to my waist the last time we were together.
I always imagined Toph being gone for decades in my head, and yeah, this kind of does muddy it a bit, but it still might work. Give me a sec.
I can't! This can't be happening!
More Bolin being a stand-in for the audience, which I don't mind, kind of a funny joke.
What, do you have to pee or something?
And more classic Korra bathroom humor, which, you know, already pretty sick of.
Oh, I said that! Can I have a hug too?
What's up with him?
He's an actor.
Man, Lin really gives it to Bolin. Lin is like a top 2 favorite character for me, but the way Bolin is so passive when he gets it from her feels pretty bad. It's like I said before, Bolin's just this teddy bear dumbass. So being mean to him on purpose kind of feels like being mean to a dog on purpose. Honestly, if you rewrote Korra and you made Bolin a dog, like probably more than 50% of his scenes where he's just talking wouldn't change much.
By the time I got here, they were gone. I snooped around town and heard that they were taken away to some nearby prison camp.
You snooped around town? You? The clearly blind, crotchety old woman? You got into anti-Beifongville and just snooped around? You?
Where would that be?
There's a factory and re-education facility not too far away.
Now, how do you know that? When did you learn that? That specifically, where that place is? Because your story was that you learned about the re-education camps and then immediately deserted at the first opportunity. So if you did know about these camps before you bailed, how do you know about a specific one's whereabouts now?
How did you end up dating the kind of dips who works for Kuvira?
Grandma, this is Juicy.
No, never mind, I'm being mean. I fucking hate this thing.
Why would you choose this leaky, nasty thing?
You don't choose your bison, he chooses you. And once he chooses you, you can't change. Believe me, I checked.
And so does Opal. We know that bisons at least have a pretty solid handle in human language. What the hell? I get to be mean because to you I'm an incomprehensible next dimension super being watching over the events of your world. You're just that thing's owner and best friend. Fuck you, Opal.
What have you two geniuses come up with to fend off Kuvira?
It's a flying mecha suit! Asami got the idea from watching dragonfly hummingbirds.
I'm not gonna lie, these just seem like a straight downgrade from normal planes.
Maybe since the spirits love Republic City so much, I can convince them to help us defend it somehow.
Or maybe they'll unleash a crazy amazing spirit attack on the Fire Nation.
We should be evacuating the ordinary citizens so that if Kuvira attacks, they won't be hurt.
That's actually a good idea. Prince Wu, you work with the police to coordinate getting people out of the city.
That is a good idea, but the fact you let Wu be hands-on with it may be your most confusing move as the president yet.
Thanks. And if Korra buys this man of the people thing, I still might get to date her. What? Come on! Why do you think guys do anything great? To pick up girls.
At one point in my life, I believed this. Maybe I don't mind Wu as much because I see my former self in him and I know he grows some. Maybe, nah, I'm gonna stop before this becomes psychoanalyzing, overanalyzing Avatar. Kuvira, your new banners kinda suck. I would've just stayed with the old logo.
There's a problem with the condenser. It's backing up.
Shut it down.
I can't. The override isn't working. Everyone needs to evacuate. This thing is going to blow. Come on, Batar! It's too late!
Come on, Vince, come on! If anyone gets that reference, I haven't done this in a while, but I'll pin your comment if you say what it is.
This channeling ring was cracked. That's what caused the reaction to overload. Now we're taking this whole thing apart tonight and checking everything.
You're not doing that shit tonight. You're gonna do that shit over the course of like a month, and Night Shift isn't gonna be on the same page, so it's gonna take even longer. You clearly never worked in construction, Batar.
This has to be ready by tomorrow.
That is impossible.
So, how long has it been since you two have seen each other?
Little while now. Couple of years.
Try 20.
So Lin and Toph haven't spoken in 20 years, okay. But Toph knew Opal when she was a kid. Sue does mention that she and Toph met up years ago and squared everything out between them. So I don't think that this doesn't work, it's just not the exact timeline I tend to have in my head.
Okay, there's the factory.
Man, Toph's good. She's not just a metal bender now, she's an unmetal bender.
That's one big... thing.
Say it, you coward, say it!
I think I know where they are.
Seismic sense scenes usually take the time to look really cool, but they cut this one short, and this one.
I didn't expect you until tomorrow.
I just wanted to check in to make sure everything was on track.
Ha! On track.
You've been working on this the entire time, Julie. What do you think the problem is?
It's a very complex machine. There are bound to be some bugs to work out.
I don't think the show ever did anything wrong with the Julie betrayal plot. I don't think once they ever gave away that she wasn't genuine, other than maybe dodging questions and not making eye contact. But did anyone else just always know it was a play? I don't know why, but it was always obvious, even on my first watch.
Kuvira wants every single one of her people to see the weapon test tomorrow.
Bolin has been taking his horribly mutated thumbs thing in stride. It really speaks to the strength of his character.
And you're gone. Just like all the other spirits. They're abandoning the city.
Or, now, just stay with me here, they just don't like you.
So let me ask you about metal bending. Sue tried to teach me, but I couldn't get the hang of it.
I used to have an academy to train metal bending.
They did bring supplies, so them having this teapot and 4 cups of Mr. Noodle checks out.
Who's Lynn's dad?
He was a guy named Kanto. Nice man, but it didn't really work out between us.
Yeah, alright, so Lynn's dad is this nobody from Nowheresville named Kanto. We got Lynn covered. Pretty basic, not very interesting, but hey, that's life sometimes. The conversation has fallen off of a cliff because Lynn is pissed, so Bolin doesn't get to ask about Sue. So the internet has had to speculate about it for the last million years or so. The big one a lot of people conclude on is Sokka, because of the very low-key point that Toph probably had a crush on him back in Airbender, and Sue and her children have a darker skin tone than Lynn. So that would speak to maybe a bit of a Water Tribe influence to her bloodline. Now, to be fair, speaking for Sue's kids, not just her, but Baatar Sr. also has a darker complexion, so... But whatever, I'm no fucking genetics doctor or shipper, so could Sue's father be Sokka? Sure. It's literally impossible to tell. Everyone's got their own headcanons for stuff, but that's just not one that I really care about.
Yeah, let's not linger on the fact that I grew up without a dad. No need to get all touchy-feely about it. Just one of those things, right?
Hey, I forgave you for all your garbage a long time ago.
With Toph being present in this season, it makes perfect sense that we revisit this drama from last season. But I feel like it's pretty misplaced. Lynn has some serious hang-ups about her upbringing, and Toph's the kind of person that will basically just dismiss any given thing as not as big of a deal as it seems. That would be pretty infuriating from Lynn's side, especially knowing Lynn. But much like a lot of the beats in the season, it's placed pretty strangely and paced pretty bewilderingly. I'll finish this point when we get to the end of the episode.
The test is about to start. They're going to blow up that empty town we flew over yesterday.
It's kind of hard to read from the shot alone, but these guards in the foreground are tied up and presumably knocked out. Oh, get used to that. What, you guys think the next Avatar show is going to be purely 2D animated? In this day and age, all the bending will be just like you remember it? Hell, I'd say we'd be lucky to get 2D animated characters, let alone bending. More bossing Say crystals. Maybe these are pretty ubiquitous. I guess we never spent a whole lot of time underground in Airbender.
We'll have to be quiet.
We'll have to be quiet. Just loud enough so that Sue can hear us 1 mile in the air. It's cool that Bolin's stomp is a full body motion, but Toph just does a big step, probably showing her skill over his. Hey, you don't get to use the same animation again. Only Toph gets to do that. Oh. I wish I knew which brother this was at a glance, because if it's the one that thought it was lame that he had to train with Bolin, that could be a nice moment.
This weapon is proof that the Earth Empire is the strongest nation in the world. And believe me, this is only the beginning! What's wrong?
Probably something minor.
I know Kuvira wants a big show of strength for some reason, but does she seem like the sort of person to fire an extremely dangerous, gigantic weapon with an unstable power source without a successful test first, needlessly endangering herself, her top brass, and a portion of her army? She seems smarter than that. You're telling me Julie, who seems to be some sort of mechanic or technician on this thing, didn't have the means to take this part out in a situation where she didn't have to hide it in her pocket? Or 2, she did have the means to do that and just chose to anyway?
Chain her up in the target town.
Holy shit.
Sweetie, it'll be fine. Lynn won't drop you and Bolin will catch you.
No. Just go. Just leave me. I'll stay here.
Ah, yes, Baatar and his classic fear of heights. Glad we can put a bookend on that arc.
The prison! Get there now!
Should we postpone the test?
I didn't come all this way to stop now.
What? Surely you can just collapse on the prison with your considerable forces and then get back to the big gun test in 20 minutes, right? I gotta say, since season 1, Korra has been doing a great job of not having bad slow-mo. You probably forgot that I complained about it so much, but we're back at it again here. It's a bit strange that Toph doesn't have anything to say about her granddaughter being an airbender, right? Even if she somehow pieced together that there are new airbenders through her crazy swamp vision, or if Korra mentioned it. I mean, hell, she knew about Zahir somehow. But no comment at all? Not a quip about how it doesn't suit her or something? Nothing? This bison whistle is ugly and loud. Even I can hear this one.
Mom! Dad!
And Huan, hello?
Let's move.
Kuvira caught Julie and threw her in the town.
What? No, I have to go save her. We've been through too much together. I can't leave her.
I was gonna say that Bolin and Julie have been through basically nothing together, actually, but I guess they were working in the same area or division of Kuvira's army for who knows how long, up to possibly 3 years, so I guess it works.
You can't go in there, kid. It's suicide.
Surprises me that the word suicide got through Nickelodeon.
Watch out for Batar Sr. and Huan.
So, how have you been, Mother?
I told you never to call me that.
Wait, hold on. That was nearly actually funny. Oh yeah, Korra's in this episode. Interesting that she meditates to the Tree of Time from here, and these do seem to be the spirits that are native to Republic City. Remember this guy? He was being a dick about the HOA being too lenient or something. Jacked Carrot Man is still here, 10,000 years later as well.
We don't get involved with human wars.
Spirits worked with Unalaq.
It's weird that you bring him up, because you look and sound exactly like him.
What you want is exactly what Kuvira wants. To use spirits as a weapon in a human war.
That's a pretty good point. I like this dude. He's a stand-up guy. Put him on the Seven Havens team avatar. I don't think that would move this gun even a little bit. Yeah, so this laser does this, powered by one great big vine, and this laser, powered by the spirit of ultimate chaos, primordial evil, darkness incarnate, does this. This show has been sorely missing some cool, sustained bending action over the past, quarter of the season or so, so I welcome this immensely. I know, budget cuts and whatever, but we're talking about how good the show is, and that's good, because the show is pretty great here. This all looks pretty awesome. Oh, what the fuck? I mean, don't wear metal, obviously, but nice. Oh, and there goes the staff. And this scuffle between Kuvira and Sue might be some of the best Avatar action we get in this show. It's so fast-paced and all the moves flow so creatively into each other. From both ends, from both Kuvira and Sue, this is a great showing of what this magic system is capable of when we set the pace to be so quick. I know it's a great, big, cool moment, but, like, these guys can just stand back up, right?
You give metal benders a bad name!
I know, I want to, but someone beat me to it. They beat me to it by, like, a decade. Oh, the bamboo forests of the Central Earth Kingdom. Well, there you go. We finally see them.
Thanks, Chief. I'm sorry for what I said last night. I was just... you know.
Yeah, see, like, Lin has some real fucking grievances that someone doesn't just get over, like, even if they have a good day or they just got a big win. There's no room in this season to really do this, so while I appreciate the attempt and realize that it probably would have been awkward if they didn't bring it up at all, there's just no time. I get it, but like some other stuff in this show, if you're gonna do it, I'd really rather you do it well, and if you can't do it well, just don't do it. Toph didn't necessarily have to come back in this episode. She has, like, a great big cool, oh, everyone loves Toph moment, but does she really change how the episode plays out? No, not really. A lot like the Korra Zahir talk from last episode, things are just solved, whoosh, after a little talk. It's all better. This one is far less insidious for a character, but it's still pretty jarring.
Aren't you coming back to Republic City with us, Grandma?
Nope.
Okay. My fighting days are over. This is why you didn't see Katara messing with that Civil War nonsense. At some point, you gotta leave it to the kids.
That's correct. I made that same point somewhere along the line, I swear. Hey, you know what? I think it's a better episode. There's some actual intrigue here. It's of course great to see our girl Toph again. She's always a welcome addition. There's some genuine emotion tied up in this episode for the first time in a little while. Bolin trying to prove himself to Opal in the albeit rushed family drama. But the rescue mission taking up the lion's share of the episode works pretty well for me on certain levels. I think it's a pretty fun rescue, and the ticking clock of the, ooh, is the gun actually gonna fire eventually is pretty effective. The Zhu Li thing never fooled me, like I mentioned, but I still think it works fine. There's basically no Korra in this episode at all. She talks to some spirits briefly and wanders around, and that's it, which is a real shame because the first half of the season was so laser focused on her, which I liked a lot, but for the last handful of episodes, she's really fallen by the wayside aside from the Zahir thing. She hasn't had anything to do with real impact in 4 episodes now. I guess my thoughts are that I do like what this episode focuses on, but putting Korra on the bench for what was really shaping up to be her season at this point, as we're really getting down to the end of it, seems like a misplay to me. This episode seems pretty good from all of its component parts and execution, but there's still something lacking to the execution of the entire season's overarching plot and pacing, I think. Patreon shoutouts if you want to see the next 2 episodes of Overanalyzing Korra ahead of the YouTube releases. You can support me on Patreon for just a few bucks. Link, as always, is in the description below the video. Biggest shoutouts of all go to my top patrons, a flock of plain cakes, who is the first person to be called stylish while operating a jackhammer. A2AX Phoenix, who can breathe easily knowing that shark with legs they found still can't breathe air. Anthony Collins, who raised what he thought was an injured baby squirrel back to health, but it just keeps growing and gaining arms and eyes. Insomnite, who has never experienced fear, and that's good because if they do, they gain laser teeth. James Clark, who has reached multiple heavens, Holy Land, Shangri-Las, etc., but the lack of conflict always ends up being boring, so he just goes back to being a righteous warlord. Jacob Glickman, who survived a plane crashing into them by having their desk chair in the full upright position. Kevin Bartlin, who was always preceded by an ominous fog. Liquor Cause I Know Her, who doesn't interact with static electricity, but they have found dynamic electricity, which is far more dangerous. Midnight Balazoms, who created an engine that works on salt water, but some scary men showed up and said to cut that shit out, so I guess we're stuck with the burning earth. Nights by Satire, who I saw swallow a live firework and just kinda carry on. Tater of Tots, who owns an island in the Caribbean because they found it. What? That's how it works. Look it up. And that one Turian, who was ranked #1 most likely to cause a rogue wave. I don't know how likely that makes them, but that's their title. And of course, my other fuck you money patrons: Blanco, Cameron Lowry, Gene Creed, Lane Brandon, Matthew Lang, Potato Stream, The Former Meaning of Life, The 1AM Party, Vector, and Whitrow. And my god overanalyzers: Two Boots Are Beat, Ang, Alan Garvin, Andrew Watchett, Onzio Ruiz, Oropataro, Blade Dancer, Chandler Crump, Cosmic Newbie, Derek Chapman, Dr. Xerox, Dominic Saint, Emma Not Emma, Aaron Grace, Fire Lizard 44, I'm a Match, Jackson, Jeremy Rubenstein, Jimith, J-Kerr 4215, John Warhammer, Justin Scott, Mac, Matthew Lang, Medium D Speaks, Michael Fellon, Mitchell Gobrecht, Nick, Nicholas Abbott, Peter Bandera, Peter Baron, Pogger White, Rocket Mist, Ryan Maxwell, Scoobert, Silk Toast, Smarty Marty, Princess Useless Backwards, Super Snipper, That Blind Ginger, Totoro, Bobro's Musical Emporium, and some sort of bear face, I think that's what it is. Next up, oh boy.